taking it to the next step, Charlie, you asked us about switching.
Yep.
And what that can do. And now we're going to compare just buying and holding to buying and switching. So we start with the same figures, same start date, same value, the same amount, and the same weight. Initially, when you buy, you get the same weight. Now, when you switch, you can switch at different points. So again, there's a range of points that you can switch at. So we'll give you a few options. But here's what the end result looks like before we break it down. So the end date is the same, end of December 2022. The value range that your metals could be worth, depending when you switch, would be between 14,558 to 17,218. Remember, we're just talking about a 3-year period. Mm-hmm. The end weight, again, to go in line with these ranges, would be around 300 grams or 355 grams. And that gives you a total compounded return between 45% and 72% over that 3-year period, which is, it's incredible. It really is.
It's astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing. That's why it's never taught in school.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So let's break down these ranges and what we've done.
Can I just say one thing there?
Yeah.
There are people out there who are pointing the finger at me and saying that I'm lucky. And they're absolutely right. I'm very, very lucky that I found out how to turn one coin into 2 coins, which was not taught to me at school. It was not taught at university or at college, but was taught to me by people who had common sense. And that's all you need for this. All we're doing is educating people on how to turn £1, $1, €1 into $2. And look, it's between 50 and 75% growth in 3 years. And people go, well, you're lucky. Well, the question is, would you like to be lucky too?
Yeah.
You made your own luck. This is the point. We're saying to people, stop bloody taking a pot at other people. You look at yourselves and you become lucky. And it's easier for people to snipe and to complain than it is actually to do anything like
and make excuses. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
this is hard facts for the last 3 years. This is hard facts.
Yeah, no, we've been through the numbers for hours, Adam, haven't we? We've been so every day, all the ratios from in the last 3 years. We've been through everything. You know,
we put a spreadsheet together of the ratio, what the ratio would be every day for 3 years, and we went through it day by day, and we did that 3 times, and we'll show you what we got. So, if you were picking a small range. And we would class a small range, let's say 75 to 81, 6 points. And we did this example. We went through the gold-silver ratio every day for 3 years. When it hit 75, we went, right, that would be a switch. Next one, we're looking for 81. Okay, that would be a switch. Next one, 75. And the result of that, before that, switching a full cycle at 75 and 81, you would make 2.33% more metal, more gold every time you did a full cycle. Okay, so you think, well, it's not actually that much, but wait till you see how it compounds. Over that period, you would have done 5 full cycles, so gold to silver and back to gold, meaning that you would have done 5 lots of this 2.33%. But again, this compounds, because let's say you start with 100 grams. And you do a full cycle, then you make 2.33%. So you've got 102 grams, 0.33. Next time you do your cycle, you don't start with 100 grams, you start with 102.33 grams. So now you're making 2.33% on 102.33. So it grows in a compounded fashion. If you were to work this out, 5 times 2.33, it would be a smaller number than the total amount you would have made, which would be 12.2%. So you would have made 12.2% more gold just by switching metals at 75 and 81. at this point, it's worth saying, let's imagine that over the last 3 years, that the price of gold has stayed exactly the same. It has never moved. You've made 12.2% in 3 years, which is even more than you would make in a bank. So switching on its own is powerful and can mean that you're profiting much more than holding cash in a bank, even if metal stays exactly the same. As it turns out, the price of gold, as we've seen, didn't stay the same over 3 years. It went up. So the way we've calculated this is we've said, okay, over 3 years, we've made 12.2% more gold. So the amount of grams at the end is a bigger number. And then we've looked at the value of that bigger number because we've got more that's now also worth more. And that's where we got the value of £14,558, and again a total compounded return of 45%. That's comparing the 10,000 you started with 14,558. So 5 full cycles, pretty easy to do. The next example is if you had a medium range, and all the points are the same. We're just increasing the range. So going from 6 points to 10 points, 75 to 85. Each full cycle, you would make 8.51%. So it's starting to get quite interesting now. And over that time, because the range was bigger, there was only 2 full cycles.
We had to wait longer for the ratios to come in,
Yeah. So obviously, if you've got a smaller range and the ratio is kind of doing this as it does, it kind of bounces around, you're going to hit those points more often, but you're not going to make as much each time. So that's why we give you a few options. People have different preferences. So 2 full cycles, that still gave you a bigger growth with 2 full cycles at 8.51%. So you would have had 17.7% more gold over that period. So again, we compound that with the value of the metals going up as well. And that's how we get the £15,272 of value and a 52.72% total compound compared to our 10,000. So that's one. The next one is a large range. And we're just doing this as an example. You can actually get much larger ranges than this, and you can get smaller ranges, but it just gives you an idea. And as you can see, all of these, even at a small range, are more than just holding gold and definitely more than cash in a bank. That's the key takeaway. So the large range, we looked at 15 points, 75 to 90. A full cycle here, you're looking at 15.2% of more physical metal. And by this, we're saying, let's say you had 100 grams of gold. You did 1 full cycle and you made 15 grams of gold. You can get that gold delivered to your house and still have the original 100 grams that you started with. So this is not theory or on paper. This is actual physical metals. And it's really important to note that. Over this period as well, only 2 full cycles of these 15 points. That leaves you with 32.7% more gold at the end of it. And then we've got more gold, and the gold's gone up in value, and that in total gives you a value of £17,218 and a 72% total compounded return compared to the 10,000 you started with. So you can pick which is the most appropriate for you. Here's the key takeaway. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that looking at the 3 there, we haven't talked about inflation. Inflation wouldn't, even in the smaller range, inflation wouldn't even have touched the starting amount of money, the capital. But if you were to look at money in a bank, inflation would not only just take away the 2% that it is, but would go straight into the capital and reduce. So this is why this is such a good hedge against inflation, because your capital is not actually being reduced, but with fiat money in the bank, your capital's being destroyed. So I just want to say that from that perspective, that's got to be a good reason to do it, because people still, I believe, don't understand how inflation destroys their savings. I still think they don't get it.
I agree. For us, it's like having a boat with leaks in inflation. Mm-hmm. You need to plug those leaks first before you go about kind of increasing and growing and expanding. And that's what we always say to people. Look, let's if you can just lock in what you've got that doesn't lose value and doesn't start to sink, because everyone wants to make big profits. That's what we find. That's people's initial kind of thought. And we say, well, let's stop your losing first, then we'll work on making. And that's the principle that we work off.
And for people who watch the television, they'll see either the NHS or the airline staff asking for a raise and then striking because they don't get it. And they go, well, hang on, they've been offered a 6% rise. But if you've been offered a 6% rise on your wages and inflation is 10%, which it has.
You're going backwards.
You're going backwards, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you want to accept this pay cut? And you understand why people are then striking and protesting. Why would you accept a pay cut?
Yeah. And I learned many years ago on my journey, Charlie and Simon, is that it's what you do with that money. It's not about how much you earn. I heard, I read something on Facebook the other day. Somebody saying, "Oh, nobody should be going to food banks if they earn £35,000 a year." And the first thing that popped into my head was, I'm sorry to put it this way, but rubbish, complete rubbish. It doesn't matter what you earn. It's what you do with the money that you do put in your pocket. It's what you do with that money. If you save it in the bank, you're going backwards. If you put it in metals, you're going forwards.
Mm-hmm. It's what you do. And also, people may have a lot of children. They may have relatives.
Yeah, so many different scenarios.
Exactly. Yeah. So these people that make statements, they're just arrogant. The reality is, as you said, it's not how much you earn; it's what you're doing. I mean, I know Charlie and I and others give money not to charities, but we give it directly to people. And wrong to say a set amount of money, because someone who's earning 10,000, if they're a complete miser and they live on their own, they might be able to get away with it. But somebody who's got 5 or 6 kids or helping out old people, no, this is the problem we're facing, where people are so narrow in their view, and trying to break through to them. It's I sometimes just give up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that's why we always talk about percentages as well, rather than. And look, for some people, £10,000 is nothing, and for others, it's like an astronomical amount. We just pick it because it's a round number. But we have people that, well, when we started, we just took it really slow, went step by step. We actually started with like £50 a month, and we just bought every month. You don't need to be a millionaire, or you don't need to have, loads of money to do this. Just look at the percentages as an increase and then apply it to your amount. And there's no judgment from us. We often get people that come to us and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be a big customer," and we say, "It doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's not about an elite group. It's about helping everyone." And we actually prefer to help people. Not prefer, but we like helping people that maybe don't have as much, but they're really trying and they're wanting to do something. Those people for us that are really eager and it means a lot to them, it in turn means a lot to us that we can make a big difference. That's not to say, we don't like helping everyone, because we do, but you can see in those people's eyes that it really does make a huge difference. And that's what it's all about.
We're never going to stop banging this drum, because we have people all the time emailing us saying, "We've been watching you for 2 years now, and now we're ready to press the button. Well, now we're ready to go." It just takes time sometimes for this to sink in, I think. And we have to just keep saying the same things in different ways over and over and over again. And eventually the penny drops. We see it. We see it all the time, Adam, don't we?
Calling all US citizens. Check out the link in the description to get your free Goalbusters ebook.